Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Mike,
This is Tyrone.
This is Menelik.
This is Hollister.
and thank you guys for listening. We're gonna It's gonna be a quick one. We have more parts coming, so we're just gonna make a nice quick one. We want to talk about a few things. I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown of what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about the UFC fight tonight between Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic, and some other fights that's on the card that we're interested in. We're gonna talk about what happened to Alvin Gentry. We kind of saw that kind of written on the wall that he got fired, and whatever else comes up, we're gonna talk about that as well. So, and the playing game today for the Portland Trailblazers. That's a big thing. So we're gonna get started. Let's talk about the UFC 252. I believe the card. We have the heavyweight championship bout between Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic. This is their third time fighting. Stipe lost the first time. Daniel Cormier knocked him out in the first round. Second time, Daniel Cormier was actually putting in that work, and Stipe made some adjustments and then killed him with a body shot and finished him. And this is DC's last hurrah. DC said he didn't want to fight past 40. He's already 40, and he decided that, look, I'm going to fight Stipe, win, and leave on a high, like how Michael Jordan did it and how GSP did it and all these other people who left but didn't come back. But, he did say that Michael Jordan would have been perfect, but, he came back to the Wizards and et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to ask your opinion on that fight. So, Hollister, who you think is going to win that fight tonight?
Tonight, I think for the main event, undecided, but I'm gonna lean towards Cormier going out on top and probably possibly retiring.
Yeah.
With the championship.
Okay. Menelik or Tyrone? Let's get Tyrone.
Okay, so I did my homework on this one, guys. All right. I watched the first two fights.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so obviously Cormier won the first fight by knockout.
Mm-hmm.
Second fight, he was winning the fight to me.
Yes.
Until I watched the other guy. I don't know how to say his name, but
Stipe Miocic.
Miocic, right? Yeah. He was doing something that I, as a boxing fan, I always love to see. He started working that body. When you work a guy's body, because I guess he's a striker, so he wasn't doing a lot of. I didn't see him do a lot of wrestling, so when he was starting to work that body, I started to notice Cormier would bring his hands down lower, and that's what happens in boxing. When you start working the body, hands get lower. So, and then I guess he caught him towards the end of the fourth round, and he finished him off there. But yeah. Cormier again was kind of having his way. First round he was doing pretty well. Second round was pretty even. I gave Miocic the third round, and I think Cormier was kind of winning the fourth round before the stoppage. But from seeing those two fights, I kind of got to give Cormier the edge because he looked better. Even though Miocic won the second fight, he kind of looked better than Miocic. So if Cormier could get inside like how he was in the first fight and parts of the second fight, if he gets inside, he can definitely take Miocic out. And if Miocic can keep his distance and box, I think he has a shot there. But I'm gonna take Cormier in this one.
Okay. Menelik?
Yeah, so kind of what you guys spoke about already. So yeah, first fight, Cormier won, caught him in the first round with a beautiful right. Stipe was saying he felt like it was a fluke kind of shot, a lucky shot. It was just a really good time, classic finish. But and then if you go to the second fight, as Tom was speaking about, Cormier was winning. He was winning the majority of the fight. He had control. He was doing his Greco, the dirty boxing. He was, showing that he was kind of the superior fighter. Then, that fourth round, Stipe, him in his corner, they made the adjustment to start going for the body, and that definitely changed things. Where, you could see when he got caught, when DC got caught with that first body shot, I think Stipe was saying, he saw it in his face and he was like, yo, I got this at that point. It was an adjustment where, Cormier before he had his hands up, like he does. And he was able to, he had quicker hands. He was able to outclass, Stipe in the exchanges. Stipe was looking a little stiffer, slower. and then he did make that adjustment. So there's the fear that, okay, like, all right, some people like to use the term like, somebody was downloaded. So like some people feel like Stipe found DC's kryptonite, and that's the last thing you're seeing.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, now with this body shot thing, it's like, oh, I got his number. But DC is a champ. He's one of the all-time greats, a legend. He obviously is going to train to try and combat that. Now, once again, training for something, and then in the fight, you go back a lot of the times to your bread and butter.
Yeah.
And so it's yet to be seen. But if I have to go with somebody, I'm definitely going to go with Cormier. I feel like he, in this trilogy, which has been a great trilogy, one of the best, DC has been the overall better fighter in both fights.
Yeah.
Stipe did, like I said, have a great fourth round and got the finish, but DC was winning that fight. So yeah, I'm gonna go with DC. I feel like he's going to make adjustments and learn from his past. Not that I don't think Stipe is not going to make adjustments either. So I wouldn't, it's not like a clear foregone thing. Stipe has a shot, but I'm gonna go with Cormier.
Okay. So here's my whole thing on this whole Stipe and Cormier thing. Like, I do respect Daniel Cormier. I used to like him a lot, not only because he's black, but because he was nice. You know what I'm saying? But the thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way with him, especially with the whole John Jones situation, because I was a John Jones. I'm still a John Jones fan, but not as like avid as I was again. I ain't gonna front. Even back in the day, I wasn't always a John Jones fan. I used to like Rampage, and I wanted Rampage to beat John Jones, etc. But anyway, long story short, when I saw that video of DC twerking for the Popeyes chicken, and they had me that spoof video, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And a lot of times I'd be like, man, I can't really rock with this cat.
I try to forget that.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to forget.
I'm not gonna even look at it. So
yeah, don't, because then you're gonna want to
I'm not even looking at that.
Nah, but real talk though, I do respect him. As far as a champion is concerned, he has been the poster child of a champion. I mean, he's been always doing the right thing, never test hot. You know what I mean? Always came in force. I got to give the man credit. And even like we talked about this in a couple of events, a couple of podcasts ago, where we spoke about how he's very unbiased and like how even though he might got beef with John Jones, and he would still talk about him in the professional way and won't scream out stop the fight like other commentators and stuff like that. So I do respect on that level. As far as the retirement thing, I can understand what he's saying. Like, the man is 40 years old. He could still fight with the best of them because he beat almost everybody. He was undefeated. The only 2 L's is from your boy John Jones and Stipe. You know what I mean? And it would have been 3 L's he had on his record if John Jones didn't have the picograms and stuff like that. But to that, there's certain things. Now, as the top elite fighters, it's just like basketball players. You study your opponent, right? The reason why DC was able to knock out Stipe in that first fight was because he knew that Stipe had that kind of thing when he drop his hands on certain things when they break off of clinches. So he's like, he's going to break, he's going to stop. So he just kept practicing that move and caught Stipe, and he knocked him out. So to say it was a lucky shot, you can say that if you were Stipe, but at the end of the day, that's a tell that you have. We all have certain things that you got to kind of iron out. There's certain bad habits that need to be addressed. And apparently Stipe did that the second fight. Now, DC said when he fought Stipe the second time, he had a back issue. He had the surgery, but he still wasn't 100% there. So that's why he didn't wrestle him and do what he typically would do, which is like really smother his opponent and like really give him that pressure and work on him. So he said, you know what, I couldn't really wrestle, so I just had to stick to the other things. So, he did his thing. But like Tyrone said, once you get hit with that body shot, especially if you weren't preparing it and you didn't really have the proper conditioning to train yourself to eat some of those, Stipe saw that, and there was lightning in the bottle, and Stipe kept going with it. Similarly with John Jones. John Jones said, yo, there's something that you do, DC, that I'm going to catch you with. And DC even admittedly said it in the press conference before. When I get hit with a body shot, I dip my head to the left and stuff like that. So you think you're going to catch me? I already fixed that in my training camp. And sure enough, John Jones exposed that same exact thing. He kicked him to the body. He thought he was going to get kicked in the body again. John Jones faked him and kind of with a head kick and knocked him clean out. But knocked him, out, and John Jones finished the job by, finishing his prey and beat him, right? That second time. And, hopefully he works on that. I do believe that Daniel will win this fight. His pressure, his skill set, he can take a punch, he can win it. Unless Stipe come in there like guns blazing and doing some like crazy stuff and really put the pressure on DC and really hit him with some heavy shots, I really don't see Stipe beating him, especially if they start wrestling him. Stipe, I mean, DC really decides to wrestle him like
it's over.
it's going to be over. So I think that with that being said, I do lean towards it being Daniel Cormier winning the fight. I do think it's going to be a war. I don't think it's going to be a quick fight where like somebody going to get rocked and knocked out or somebody going to get submitted like that. I really think it's going to go the distance, but I think it'll be an epic one. And I do see DC edging that out. And I also heard UFC is dying to have a John Jones DC 3. Even though DC said up and down that, yo, I'm not going to fight after this fight, I'm walking away. I'm pretty sure, especially if John Jones is really considering, because John Jones says he's considering coming to heavyweight because he's bored at light heavy, that he's going to fight him at heavyweight. They're going to offer your boy DC the freaking blank check. And if DC, whatever amount of money they get DC to do it, I think the money will force DC to have that one last fight with John, especially heavyweight. And even John Jones had admittedly said, like, he was kind of like, if I want to fight DC where he's good at, I have to be, more concerned because his combinations and stuff like that was good. He was getting into faster than me. And, for him at that size, it's going to be a more extra of an issue. But I do still give John Jones a nod on that. So I'll lean towards that when it comes to that fight. But if that happens, but for this fight tonight, I'm going to go DC by unanimous decision. So there's a couple of other.
You're going with Stipe.
No, I'm going with DC. I kept saying Stipe on mistake, but I'm going with Cormier.
So it's unanimous.
Unanimous decision that he's going to win.
And it's unanimous that we all picking DC.
Yeah,
I'm very cautious with it though, because if Stipe can keep his distance, I will give him the edge. But if Cormier can get inside like he was in the first fight and parts of the second, right, and parts of the second fight,
over.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he looks.
Yeah, Stipe is legit. He has the most title defenses at heavyweight. He's taking out some of the top guys. Stipe is legit. So no one's like, I'm definitely not counting him out, discrediting him. Yeah. DC as well. They both, champions. They both, legends in that division. So it's gonna be a good one.
See, guys, I did my homework, man. I watched some fights. I did more talking on UFC than I ever did.
No, that's what's up. Because honestly, like I was gonna say with the Stipe and me and Daniel Cormier thing, like Malik, and we all said it. Stipe is not a joke, man. I like Stipe.
He's good. And on paper, he's the bigger guy. He got the longer reach. You would think on paper that he would dominate. He would dominate, but DC is so great, and that doesn't matter.
And I'm just curious to see how this fully healthy DC is. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the motivation that he has behind it. Like I said,
another thing. Sorry, but another thing too. A lot of times when a fighter says they're going to retire and it's their last fight, sometimes you don't know what the mentality is. They could have one foot out the door already, and they might be lackadaisical. And I don't think he is in this particular situation here, because he's coming. He's like coming off a loss,
saying that he was going to retire, and he had won the fight, and then he ended up staying extra fight because he wanted that Stipe fight. So it was a lot of different things that kind of kept him from like leaving DC, and I really do feel that he want to go out on top. He's such a competitor that he want to be like the man, and and he know that right now. Look, he can't be the man in light heavy, even though he dominated everybody in light heavy like John Jones, except for John Jones. John Jones left, he became the champion. John Jones came back, John Jones was a champion. And then John Jones got suspended again. He became champion again. John Jones came back, became champion again. So if one person he couldn't beat was John Jones, he went up there. He was undefeated in the heavyweight, dominated all the heavyweights on there, fought all the big name guys.
Yeah, his legacy is cemented, man.
Yeah, so I mean, so for that, I do agree. I just think that he is so. Because look, he got life after this. He still commentates. He still got a lot of stuff going on. So he's not even tripping. He just want to beat these. He just want to beat Stipe and go out as the champion. And he knew that he had Stipe beat that last fight, and then got slipped.
Yes, he did.
So he's like, I slipped up.
And at one point in that second fight, I think it was about 8-9 consecutive body shots. He was just tearing that left. I think it was his right side. Matter of fact, it was the right side of his body. I was watching it, and he was hitting him hard.
Yeah, so,
and I was like, there you go. That's what a smart fighter does. Yeah, so not that I was rooting for Stipe, but I was just saying it was just.
Watching
as a fight fan,
it was smart.
Yeah, watching boxing. that's what boxers do. They work that body and they bring them hands down, and that's when you can get to the face.
Like Usman did the same thing. Like Usman is known for his body shots when it comes to he won with the body. Cause not only does that he brings the hands down, it takes your energy out. When you get hit to the body like that, it sucks the energy out of you. So it makes you feel like more drained and stuff like that. See, that's what
And
I'm
they
trying
were
to say.
hard shots too.
Exactly.
Those they were
Now it's
hard
probably gonna
shots.
even sound even worse now because there's no crowd. So my
Yeah.
thing is that, like I said, we all know that Stipe is game, and Stipe can actually win this fight in devastating fashion. Who knows? Stipe could come out there and knock DC out first round or second round
seconds.
TKO him. We don't know. But what I'm saying is that based on the statistics and based on the type of fighter that DC is, and knowing that like right after John Jones, like DC in my eyes, as far as one of the best fighters in the UFC,
Yeah.
right? I don't see him losing to Stipe. I don't think he's going to dominate Stipe and knock him out like how he did the first fight. But I do think he's going to have like a dominating performance where from bell to bell, he's probably going to be on Stipe and like really like giving him. Unless I can't see DC submitting Stipe. I can't see that. Okay, he submitted Anthony Johnson before, but I do see your boy getting worked up and actually getting worked. Now, if would the UFC want DC to win it? I think they like DC and they wouldn't mind it, but they won't be as mad as GSP did it, win the belt and then run away by fighting the easiest middleweight fight that he could afford, which is Michael Bisping. No disrespect to him, but Michael Bisping had one eye. He already was fought in like a long time.
What?
No, because Michael Bisping, he has one eye. What happened was he fought a long time ago. He fought Vitor Belfort. Vitor Belfort was on the juice back then, or TRT. He had exemption, and he caught him with a head kick. And when he kicked him in the eye, I think he did like had a detached retina or something like that.
Oh my God.
And what happened was, I think because he wanted to keep fighting, he never really got it fully addressed, or maybe it was worse than what it was, and he just never said it. And he has a fake eye in his eye, like his eye was dead, and then like he had to start wearing like that prosthetic. So even though you have to pass an eye exam, even though you have to still pass a certain amount of things to fight, I don't know how Michael Bisping did it, but he kept passing those exams and those tests, and he was able to fight his career after that. And that happened like years ago, and he kept fighting, kept winning. And yeah, so a lot of people knew that. That's why if you look, sometimes when he got dropped, he's always on that blind side sometimes, but he knew that I can still win. And I'm happy that he won the championship the time he did, and he would be able to say he was a champion and be able to move on with his life, because that sucks. You give your life to fighting, and he lost his freaking eye, and now that's something that's going to stick with you for the rest of your life. Yeah. So real quick, so we all unanimously said that DC is going to win it. All right, we give him to that. Now we have the bantamweight co-main event, which is between Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Cheeto Rivera. Now Cheeto has been doing his thing. He's a known fighter, but Sean O'Malley is 12-0. He's undefeated. He's like this young prospect that the UFC is trying to groom, but they try to find him tougher competition. He wants to fight Cody Garbrandt, who was an ex-champ, and he feels he could beat him, but he got this fight. And I think if Sugar does beat Marlon tonight, that's going to put him up in the rankings. He'll get a top 5 opponent, and who knows? Like, the UFC has a tendency of doing this, and I'm going to let you guys speak on that after this, is that they have a gut. Like, the reason why I think Conor McGregor is not fighting this year is because they want to utilize him when they have a crowd. He brings too much to the game to let him just fight on these pay-per-views, which I feel bad for him, because he want to fight. They don't want to give him just random fights. They just want him to be there so he can bring all the Irish fans with him to the arenas and get their money. And that's a sad part of all this thing that's going on, all these sports. It's the money that kind of dictates a lot of different things. But anyway, I want to go with Sugar Sean O'Malley to win this fight. I'm going to go with a TKO because I think Cheeto is a grappler too, but I don't know if Sean can submit him. I think he might get knocked out. Sean might knock him out. So I give him that kind of thing, but we'll see. That's up in the air. So whoever want to go, Tyrone and then Hollister and Malik, probably.
Yeah, I watched the few months I've been watching UFC. I like him the most so far. This young up and coming kid. I watched him in his last fight. He looked good.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely picking him, and I would like to see him, step up too. So it'll be good to see out of this young prospect. 12-0. He's a good fighter. So. Hopefully this could be the start of me being having a favorite fighter. I don't know. He kind of excites me more than anybody else I've seen so far. So
okay,
I'm picking him. And yeah, the thing with the crowd situation, you're right. And at the same time, I think I understand it. Like if they were to get not to switch subjects back to Cormier again, but if they could get DC and Cormier and Jones
Yeah.
in a fight, in a third fight with a crowd, I think that would generate a lot of money. I think
Of
that would be
course.
good
Of
for the
course.
sport. So I kind of understand why they want to hold out McGregor too, but at the same time, he does need to get his reps in
Yeah.
and get some fights. So
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying too, just as much as them. But
He wanted to
I'm
fight
pick,
more fights.
I'm picking O'Malley in this one.
Okay. Hollister?
I'm definitely gonna pick O'Malley. I see it being probably like a TKO, either second or third round, maybe. The guy's really incredible. Like, he's a young up and coming. He has that energy. He definitely needs a crowd behind him to be more electrifying if he had that.
Yeah.
We under circumstances. And the other point with the whole thing without the fans, it's all about money at the end of the day.
Facts.
So they definitely gonna wait for McGregor to come back when they have a crowd. Cause I know they want to try to do it. They're waiting for Khabib to come back too to have a crowd and everything else. So it's all about money. They definitely do a John Jones and Cormier. Oh, that's gonna be incredible.
Yeah.
I hope it does happen.
Yeah.
That'd be incredible.
Mentally?
All right, yeah. So as far as O'Malley and Cheeto, I'm going with O'Malley as well. Like, Cheeto's a good fighter and he's game. He's ready to actually engage.
Yeah.
And O'Malley, he's with a fighter that's going to engage with him. He's already shown the power he has in his right hand.
Yeah.
He has a lot of creativity. He does. His timing is good. And he has power. So I'm definitely gonna go O'Malley, and I do think it will probably be a KO or TKO.
Yeah.
Because like I said, with an opponent like Cheeto, who's gonna be willing to
Engage.
engage and fight, I could see O'Malley, going at the angles he sometimes likes to go through, or throwing certain combinations or shots that people aren't expecting, and Cheeto could get caught with something he don't see coming, and like I said, with O'Malley showing he got that power, he's a good up and coming prospect, so it'll be a good look for him. I definitely think, yes, if he gets past this test, he will probably get a higher ranked opponent, so he could start making some noise. Because I think it will be great for the UFC to have him as a champion. So, and as far as the McGregor thing, yeah, I mean, I definitely think it could be something along the lines of wanting him to be available when they could have fans back. Imagine the first fight that could have fans back is a McGregor fight against, somebody that would do crazy for them. So, I like McGregor. It would be great to see him fight again. But yeah, I guess we'll see as far as that goes. And as far as like the John Jones and DC, yeah, that's the one fight I think that could tempt DC if he wins, because then he would have gotten back his loss against Stipe if he wins this one, and then it will just be John Jones is the only person that he didn't beat.
And especially if he had the title.
Yeah, especially if it could be exactly like a title fight. And I think that would be also a good fight that the UFC would want, and they would want to get behind. They already have it'll be so easy to promote as a trilogy, as two of the greatest of all time. The history between them, it would be a great fight. I mean, I also see DC maybe like feeling like he don't know if he could crack John and he want to go out on top. So I can see it happening too. But if that as a competitor, the kind of competitor DC is, and the kind of legacy he wants, and he he has a legacy as one of the best and legends already. But I can see that tempting him to wanting to maybe do that last dance with
John.
I
agree. I think to touch on all of that, like you guys said, I do agree that can happen. The only issue I feel is that if DC is really adamant about retiring and not prolonging it, because he didn't want to go past March, I think 2018 or 2019, and it's already 2020 in August. So I think with him, if they were to like try to wait for fans, he wouldn't do it. I think it'll just be taking too much time. And then also you have to look at it from this perspective. DC was offered, I think, a time to fight John Jones. I think they both said no, or he wanted to say, like, I don't want to fight John Jones at heavyweight because I think I have the advantage. I want to fight him at where I lost it to him at 205. So what's going to happen is now if John Jones is bulking up to become a heavyweight, right? And then DC has to go back down to fight. I think it will be too much complications to get that fight to happen at light heavy because now DC will be the champ, and that'll be a good segue to get John Jones into the heavyweight mix while making him fight
Yeah.
for a title, and he could be a champ. And then if he happens to win, then John Jones will have to fight people like you know Ngannou and stuff like that. He said he would. So it's like those type of things could be a possibility. Maybe the UFC is utilizing that. And we all know it's about money. We get it. The only issue I have about it is like for somebody like Conor McGregor, right, who was in the news almost as much as John Jones at a certain degree with negative publicity, snuffing that old man in a bar, breaking that fan's phone, allegedly groping some girl, doing all this other crap like that, the drugs, the other stuff like that they were saying that Conor was doing, throwing the freaking dolly through the bus, all this crazy stuff that he has done, right? But yet and still, the man was good this year, training, went back to his roots, wanted to fight, begging pretty much to fight. Say you'll fight anybody. I want to fight Jorge. No, you're not going to fight Jorge. Jorge is too big for you. Nah, I don't want to fight him. I want to fight this new freaking Khabib 2.0, the cat mid cat. No, you can't fight on travel issues. I want to fight Khabib. No, you can't fight Khabib. So it's like all these different things that he
Yeah,
is
he
trying
wanted
to
to fight
do.
Gaethje too,
Yeah,
Justin.
Gaethje, like, oh no, you can't fight Gaethje. So it's like all these things he wanted to do, they kind of stopping it and mitigating because they're waiting for fans. So now what you have now, you're forcing a guy like him to retire, right? Because he says to retire because you don't really need the money, you just want to fight, right? Now it's a frustrated thing. It's like you want to go and do your job and have fun and experience that kind of like freedom that you have as a fighter, and all this other political stuff is getting involved. The same thing what we talked about before, and we'll probably talk about at a later session today with the college football and other things like that, and how they trying to this kind of capitalize on the most amount of money as opposed to looking at what works and what would really get to the point, which is get the fans what they want. You're still going to get your money. You might not make as much, but you're still definitely going to make the money. The Jorge Usman fight broke records for the UFC as far as pay-per-view buys, and they're not even like the biggest names in the sport. So it sucks, but I'm glad we all kind of put it there. Hopefully, Sugar can get it. I mean, he still has some things to do. As far as a striker, he's like a dynamic striker. He's a young, creative cat. So I do agree with y'all on all that. That's what brought John Jones to the forefront. That's what brought Israel Adesanya to the forefront. That's what brought a lot of creative fighters like Anderson Silva. That dynamics as far as striking is concerned. However, I'm not sure about Sean O'Malley's other parts of his game, like the wrestling, the grappling, like those things. Like I said, a striker, you could be a beautiful striker, but if you don't got those basics, or you can't stop takedowns, you can't stop submissions, you're just going to be pretty much on your back the whole time, and you're going to, snuff out that fire. Conor had learned that the hard way, and he's working on those skill sets. But when you come against a beast like a Khabib who's been wrestling bears as a kid, you can't just overnight it. You know what I'm saying? That cat been wrestling in his sleep. You know what I mean? He's born that way. So you're going to have to work through that. But I want to talk about one more fight, and then we can move on to the other topic real quick, and then I know we got to wrap this up. So the last fight that I want to mention is in the top 3 fights of this card is Junior Dos Santos versus Jazarino Rosenstruik. I like to say it like that because it just reminds me like the Japanese thing, but he's not Japanese. I forgot what country he's from. It's the black guy. Thank you, Suriname.
Suriname is in South America.
Yeah. So he's over there. He's fighting Junior Dos Santos. Now he lost. His only loss, Jazarino, is from Ngannou. Ngannou knocked him out in that first round, put him to sleep, right? Junior Dos Santos, I liked him. He was a man, but he been getting rocked a bit lately. He doesn't have that same. He was a champion too. He doesn't have that same kind of like star power, that durability that he once had. I mean, his boxing is good, but this guy is an elite kickboxer. So I'm not sure how to fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Rosenstruik wins, and I wouldn't be surprised if Junior Dos Santos wins. So this one's a toss up for me. I'm going to kind of lean towards Rosenstruik because I'm going to say that, or maybe I don't know. Maybe I might go with Junior because Junior has more tools, I believe, than Rosenstruik. Junior could submit him. Junior could kind of wrestle, but we'll see. But if anybody getting knocked out, it's probably going to be Junior Dos Santos, to be honest with you. Even though Junior Dos Santos knocked out plenty of people,
True.
I just feel that if anybody going to get knocked out in this fight, it's probably going to be Junior. And if somebody gets submitted, it's going to be Junior who wins the fight. So I'm going to lean towards Junior. Maybe a split decision, maybe a submission. But if it's a KO, which I'm expecting kind of, I'm going to have to say it goes to Johnson Rosenstruik. So I'm going to say it's up in the air for me, but I'm kind of leaning towards Junior. Hollister.
Yeah, I feel the same way you feel with the whole thing because Junior Dos Santos, I know about him a lot. He was really a good fighter.
Yeah.
He lost his last 2 fights. He's on a little losing streak, but
Thanks.
if I pick, I'm go with Rooster Strike since he do have the better record.
Yeah.
He got 1 loss. Dos Santos got 7, but Dos Santos haven't been looking like himself lately. So he's holding
Yeah.
Strike.
All right. Tyrone.
Okay. Don't know who either one of these guys are, but
Well,
I'm
real
gonna
quick,
go-
I'll jog your memory. Remember the time Alistair Overeem, this is Malik homeboy, Alistair Overeem.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up too, but
I'll let Malik
Uh-huh.
elaborate more. But Rosenstrike fought Alistair. Remember that time I said, I want to see that picture of that guy's lip? And y'all say no?
Oh,
He's the
he
guy,
the one that
Rosenstrike,
exploded over.
who did the lip.
he's the one that did it.
Yes, he's the one.
Okay, so all right, so I got my pick. I'm picking Rosen. I'm picking the Rosen guy. Okay. I'm looking at their heavyweight. He has a 1 inch reach advantage. He has about 15 pounds on weight because heavyweight is unlimited. He only has 1 loss.
Well, heavyweight up to 265.
Okay, yeah, but I'm looking right now. Santos is at 238 and he's at 254. So that helps. And he only has 1 loss. And then you just said Dos Santos has a 2-fight losing streak, and Rosen is busting people lip in half. So I'm picking him, and I'm just gonna stick with that one.
Okay, Malik.
Yeah, so this one is tough for me as well. I mean, Junior Dos Santos is also, one of the best heavyweights that the UFC has had. He had the trilogy with Cain Velasquez, when he, got the championship, then lost it back to him, and then they fought again. I mean, he's shown that he can be crafty. He's knocked out a lot of people. He is getting older. He hasn't, he has the little losing streak, and I mean, I think he did change camps, and I mean, he looks all right. Like, he don't look washed. He doesn't look like prime Junior Dos Santos, but he seems a little more rejuvenated.
Yeah.
So I feel like if it goes the distance, I could see Junior Dos Santos getting the W.
Yeah.
But once again, if it does a knockout, I gotta go with Rosenstrike. I mean, like you mentioned, he exploded my guy Overeem's lip. Overeem was winning that fight, and then he got caught, and that
literally
was it,
5 seconds left in the match.
Like, and I was watching, I was so tired. I was like, finally, my guy, he might get his shot at the championship.
He got a shot.
Not then, he just, and it's like, then, that happened to him, I think, in a Verdun fight. He has a couple of those kind of fights where he'll be winning.
The Travis Brown fight.
Yeah, the Travis Brown fight, and then he just get rocked, man. So, but, Rosenstrike, he got the weight advantage. He has power. We've seen it, he's young. He's been, looking pretty good. He got the 1 loss to Ngannou. So I could see him, getting one of those kind of shots and taking out Dos Santos. But like I said, I feel like if it goes the distance, I might lean toward Dos Santos. But yeah, if it ends in a knockout, I'll go with Rosenstrike.
Same here with me. And to your point, man, like you said, it's just that with Junior, not that he's washed, but it's a lot of the old guard. We look at their names, we look at their past, like what they was doing. Like Junior was like on tear. He was knocking out everybody. He knocked out Cain Velasquez, where we already know got suspect chin. We spoke about this before, but Cain was like very durable. He was doing these different things. But once that new guard of like heavyweight started coming in there, like Ngannou's and freaking Rosenstreiks and stuff like that, right? Them cats started really catching up with them. Knockout like the Black Beast. You know what I'm saying? Derek Lewis, all them cats been coming up there and rocking people. So like Black Beast knocked him out too. So, and plus Junior Dos Santos just had like some kind of like blood issue or some kind of health issue before. So after that, he hasn't been the same. Like he couldn't train as hard before. But who knows what he's been doing? A lot of time with the Brazilian cats, no disrespect to them, it'd be a lot of bamba, a lot of like Mexican supplements, as Joe Rogan like to say, that be going around with them, that sometimes their body get caught up in there with the whole steroid thing, even though he never popped. I know I think he got popped once, but it was something for his medical issue that he had. But yeah, if it comes to like a drawn out fight, I do see Junior trying to like grapple with him and like, not do the whole like kickboxing thing, because when it comes to the kickboxing, Rosenstrike is an elite kickboxer with power. So I don't think he's going to play with that and play that game. And plus, he don't want to get his lip busted or something like that. So he might just try to like do the whole like dance around and like try to wrestle him, like similar to what Overeem did. Overeem would play the smart fight. He grappled with him. He caught him in the clinch, did some dirty boxing, and kept it like that until he got caught at the end. So that's what his weakness is. So most likely he's going to try to exploit it. So I do agree with that. So I'm glad we got those picks. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens. Anything can happen in a fight. And yeah. Well, moving on real quick to this topic, and I guess this will lead us out to this part of the podcast. Breaking news. Tyron had told me breaking news, which I kind of figured was going to happen, was Alvin Gentry, the coach of the New Orleans Pelicans, not in New England, New Orleans Pelicans, has been fired this morning. It's unfortunate. I do feel that it was already kind of like a written on the wall once David Griffin got there. Most of the time when you're a GM, you want your own guys in there. Rumors have it, I saw it before, that they were looking to maybe possibly bring in like Jason Kidd in there, because they feel like Lonzo could be like a Jason Kidd type of player, and Jason Kidd can help make him better. But I really don't know who they'll bring over there. And also, this is just a little quick side note, Howard, I think you appreciate this as well.
Yes,
the Brooklyn Nets have been rumored to try to see if they can convince Popovich to leave the Spurs and come and coach.
Y'all wasting your time. I'll just cut you off right there.
Nah, we don't know. We don't know that, man.
You're wasting your time. Popovich isn't going anywhere. But
continue
with your story.
The reason why I'm saying that, because look, we know how Popovich is, right? And he's very to the point, and he's whatever, right? For a minute now, he's been kind of like grooming like Tim Duncan, Mia Hamm is her name, not Mia Hamm,
Becky Hammond.
Becky Hannon, to be the head coaches of that team. Now, granted, Popovich has a lot more play and more say with the San Antonio Spurs than just being a coach. He's like the president of the basketball operation. He has a lot of stuff going on for him there. But his wife passed a few years back, unfortunately. His kids are grown.
Last year.
Yes, you know what I'm saying? Thank you, Tom. And, I feel that anything is possible in the sense, like, I do agree with you, Tom. I don't think he would just jump ship. It's not like you're trading coaches.
No, he's not.
I agree with you on that front. But for me, the point that I'm trying to make real quick is that for them to even bring that up and have that in the media, most of the time it has to be some semblance of interest between both parties that became a story. Because it's not like to say, oh, Michael Jordan want to coach. Like somebody has to have heard it from somewhere for that to make it plausible. Like I heard that Alvin Gentry is going to get fired a couple of days ago, and I was like, "Now they shouldn't do that to him. He just got Zion." But then, sure enough, he got fired today. So what I'm saying is that those things that become breaking news and headlines have to be leaked from somewhere, and not always happen. It is some validity to it, is what I'm trying to say. But go ahead.
No, what I was saying is the only thing that can have him related to the Brooklyn Nets is Sean Marks was a part of the Spurs organization, and that's probably why his name was thrown out of there. A lot of times, rumors are just put out there because, like me or you, we could be just saying, "Hey, Sean Marks used to work for the Spurs." You never know. Pop may want to think about that. KD and Kyrie is coming back. You got LeVert.
Yeah.
Got Joe Harris. Anybody could just throw that out there. I don't think there's any steam to that. Mm-hmm. I don't think Popovich was ever going to leave. He's 72, I think, 71, 72 years old. I don't think he's going to really go anywhere. Yeah. And I think even though the Spurs had a disappointing year and they haven't been the same since Kawhi left, I think they're heading in the right direction with some of the young players they got. And I think he wants to stick it out until he's done, until he grooms the right coach, whether it's Hammond or Duncan or anybody from his old coaching tree that's not with the organization no more and may come back.
Yeah,
I think with DeJounte Murray, White, who knows what's going to happen with DeRozan and Aldridge, but they got some young kids there, Keldon Johnson. These guys can, they can make some noise in the next couple of years, and I think he is disciplined enough and has the pedigree to afford to wait another year or two before these kids come up. I don't think it sounds attractive. Don't get me wrong. Kyrie, KD, that's kind of not a hard choice to make if you were a coach,
cities, huh?
Right?
But when you've established yourself, when you established yourself in San Antonio, as long as you did, I don't think he's going anywhere. On the Gentry situation,
yeah,
I kind of think it's exactly what you said. Griffin came in, he inherited him. It's just like the Chicago Bulls. Thank Jesus that
Thank
Joe
God for that.
Boylan, John, I can't even get his name right. I'm so happy he got fired. I forgot his name. Boylan, Jim Boylan.
Jim Boylan.
Jim Boylan got fired. It's a matter of time because once a new regime comes in, they're gonna want their own coach. So I think that's part of it. Also, he's been very against limiting Zion, and I
Yeah.
think that probably was a turnoff to the organization too, because he was one that didn't want to limit Zion,
Yeah.
and I think it was coming from upstairs, and I
But
think
see,
there was a clash with that.
I think that's part of it, but I think the reason why, like, you gotta look at it from this perspective, and I'm gonna let the rest of you guys jump in there real quick, is that the limited Zion thing is like this. I know, right, that David Griffin came in the office, right? If I'm a coach, we didn't have the winners record. He's not the GM that hired me, right?
Mhm.
I already know that I'm already up in smokes pretty much at that point. Now I'm playing for my career. I have the generational talent in Zion Williamson, right? That when he was playing for me, had us looking like a well-coached team to buy me some time, right? I would like to utilize that asset, right? It's frustrating for me as a coach to have an asset that can help my team win, and the upper management is telling me no, knowing that they're going to get rid of me. So he not stupid. He probably knew like, yo, I'm going to get fired sometime here
And
soon,
he'll get another
right?
job somewhere.
Yeah, of course,
He's gonna get
with the
another
Chicago
job.
Bulls. So
Listen. You might say that as a joke, but I wouldn't
no,
mind Alvin
no,
Gentry.
I'm just what I'm trying to say. So my thing is that he getting fired now off the Pelicans because of the fact that he didn't get a real shot at the system. So I'll be frustrated too. Now I get it. Zion, we all had said it. I hate to put it up there, and I'll let Miller get in on this too. Zion, excuse me, came in that bubble. That had that picture. He looked good, and some of the bubble highlights before he left, he looked like he was in decent shape. Zion was fat and he was out of shape when this bubble started, and I can see. I know that movement. I'm a fat cat now, kinda. You know what I'm saying? And when I play,
You just you just big boned it.
right, no, I know, but I'm trying to say that I'm not fat obese, like super fat with a big old belly. But what I'm saying is that for my
Now you
athletic
stocky.
years, exactly. For when I was in high school, I remember when I was in high school and I was skinny, right? I was gliding through the air like Jordan, son. You know what I'm saying? Like
Let's
I
not
can't,
get
I
too
can't.
crazy.
So
Let's
just
not
stop
get too.
hating. Stop hating.
All right, all
Let me
right,
just have my
all
moment.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And then anyway, right?
Yeah, don't lie in your moment.
No,
Either.
but this is the truth, right? I remember one time in high school, real quick, we had like a little intramurals basketball tournament in our gym class. And I remember one time, I remember like yesterday, I went to go grab a rebound, and I remember this cat said on my team, he said, "Yo, this cat Mike flew." Like he said, Mike flew. When I jumped from where I was to grab the rebound, he's like, "Yo," I had that background. I remember the day too. He's like, "Yo, that cat Mike flew." That's how I was. Even when I first got to college and I was playing ball at City Tech, you know what I'm saying? Them cats like, "Yo, this cat is like crazy hops." I was doing like crazy layups. They was like, "Nah, you can't do that." Like, you know what I'm saying? I was doing Julius Irvin. It was crazy. I had hang time pretty much back then. What I'm trying to say. All right, I'm big now.
So
Right?
we're gonna sit here and lie.
No, that's 100%.
live.
This is 100%.
We're
I
gonna
wish
be
I had it on tape.
we're gonna be recording.
No,
We're gonna
no,
be
no.
recording
This
this,
is
and
true.
you're
This is true.
lying.
This is true. If you can find people back then who knew me, they'll tell you the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, and I show you my high school pictures, y'all see for yourselves, right? But anyway,
Well, I know you.
back
I've known
then,
you.
I know. I'm just trying to say the people in the podcast, not you, the people in the podcast, right? But anyway, I say all that to say, I watched Zion play, right? Those games he played, and you can see like he is exhausted. He is tired. He doesn't when he make his jump back. You remember when he first played in the first preseason? That second jump was automatic. It was like he was like somebody playing 2K just spamming the jump button to get them rebounds, right? He was barely getting off the ground with some of those layups. The reason why some of his shots and his layups he was usually make was short was because he's not physically there yet. What Zion needs to do and what the training staff needs to do is hire him a nutritionist, right? That's going to make all his meals for him. Get him an exercise regimen where he can run up and down the court and get back in shape. And when he's playing, when he's healthy in high school, playing, when he's healthy at Duke playing, you get the best Zion. You're getting the 360 windmill dunks from Zion when he's healthy. When he's this Zion that's out of shape, tired, you're going to end up getting him hurt, and he end up going to be like just okay for spurts. And I feel for Alvin Gentry because you have a player like that. He goes away for 9 days. He come back fatter than when he left, right?
Yeah.
He's out of shape. And they don't want you to play about 3 minutes or so. You lose anyway because they don't want, and they trust me. The Pelicans and like even Shaq and them said it in that show. They didn't want to make it to the playoffs. They was like, look, let's just do our little thing. We're gonna be ready for next time. That's what happened. That's what happens. Now we got double Melnick here. So Melnick, what are your take on it?
Yeah. So as far as that, Alvin Gentry thing,
Yeah.
I definitely think it's definitely part of their whole regime change thing. They brought in David Griffin.
Yeah.
Alvin Gentry wasn't his guy.
Yep.
He has ties to like Jason Kidd, Ty Lue, and certain other people that some people are rumoring might get brought in. But either way, he wants to kind of more shape the organization, probably with a guy that is his guy, that he trusts, that he brought in, that he wants to build something with a talent like Zion and the core they have.
Yeah.
He wants to try and put his stamp on the organization in that way. So I think that was a factor. As far as the Zion element, yeah, I definitely think that they probably didn't love that he wasn't on board fully with the approach they wanted to take. But I also think that, like Michael said, that Alvin Gentry did know that, look, I'm playing for my job there to some extent, and I have this thing, y'all, tying my hands, y'all making it hard for me to do what I need to do, because part of the team to gel, they need to play together. They need Zion to play with Ingram and Lonzo, get those reps, build that chemistry, to trust the between them, for them to truly develop together.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pelicans probably also have other things organization wise that they were trying to achieve. So, but I do think the Zion thing did have some impact. And like you said, I do think that Gentry was probably aware of that. But ultimately, David Griffin, he wants to probably bring in his own guy and make his mark on the organization that way.
Yeah, Hollister.
I think is Alvin Gentry being fired. He's not going to be unemployed for long. I honestly probably could see him going to like Phoenix to work with Monty Williams to develop the the young core they have over there.
Mm.
And with the whole Pelican situation, David Griffin, more than likely he's probably going to try to bring in Ty Lue, because he had ties with him back in Cleveland.
Yeah,
to get a good coach that could mentor Lonzo, point guard. I also think they want to have the Pelicans like a running gun kind of team. Mm. They have a lot of players that can score. They want Zion up and down the court, flying through the arenas and all kinds of stuff like that.
Like I used to do,
yeah. Oh, Jesus.
But I really think that's how they're going to have that situation going. Like, probably bring like a Ty Lue or like a Jason Kidd, like we all been saying.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree with you 100%, Puff. I think the Hollister. I think that's what you said is 100% right, because what they're looking at is unfortunate. But Alvin Gentry got hired to the Pelicans because of the fact he was helped institute that run and gun offense with the Golden State Warriors. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you hire him to do that. He doesn't have the asset. That's why I feel bad for some coaches. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some terrible coaches out there like Jim Boland. Unfortunately, I have to say David Fizdale from last year. Like, there's a lot of coaches that didn't do the job. Like, they just hired off their name because it was cool with a certain player, right? And then there's some coaches out there who really understand the game and really understand who they have. And if you don't have the proper personnel, you can't expect these cats to, do magic. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have the personnel there. You have to be able to utilize all your tools and stuff like that to win these games. You know what I mean? You look at people like Eric Spoelstra, who winning games with his squad that he got. He got a leader in Jimmy Butler, but he also got a leader in Udonis Haslem, and he got a nice young core together. You look at people like Nick Nurse, who did his thing. You look at people like freaking what's his name, and Brad Stevens. Those younger coaches, right? They doing their thing because they understand. I got the personnel, I got the management, and I understand the game and that level, right? Some of these other cats don't have it. And I feel bad for Gentry because even though we say he should get another job and we know that, it's like, let's be honest here. A lot of times when these black coaches began, and I'm not trying to make it a black-white thing, a lot of times when these coaches began fired, they be like, all right, everybody's pretty much set up. There's nobody really needed a coach right now to be hired. You know what I'm saying? So Alvin Gentry going to have to go and do some TNT joints or some other thing for a little bit before he get another job. Look at, what happened with Lionel Hollins after he got fired from the Nets. It took him a minute to get another job, and he's an assistant coach. Look what happened to Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd's a more of a bigger name, but he got let go. He made the Bucks like this better team. Don't get me wrong, Budenholzer took it to the next level. He's one coach I'll say is like not like a Steve Kerr who everybody gives Steve Kerr the credit for the Golden State Warriors. I'm not trying to say Kerr didn't have a say in it, but to make it look like he was an institution of that how they play that style. I can't say that. Whereas I could look at Budenholzer and say like his style of play was what made them better, but Jason Kidd is what made Giannis better. Jason Kidd nurtured Giannis to make him that player that he is and trusted him to do those type of things to get him that confidence. I honestly feel that the Pelicans will most likely, even though Ty Lue is tied to your boy, I think Ty Lue would love the chance to have that job, but I really think that they'll probably look more to Jason Kidd because they really want to maximize Lonzo's potential because they know what they have pretty much in Zion, right? But they need because don't get me wrong, don't be surprised if Drew Holiday get traded because I think they would.
He's been rumored for a while since Anthony Davis.
Exactly, because they wanted to do him right. That's why they didn't trade him to willy-nilly team. They wanted to give him the opportunity to get on a contender, give him a decent shot at something. So that's why they kept him around and also help nurture the young guys. But don't be surprised if he get traded this off season. You know what I'm saying, to a decent team and they get some young assets for him or something decent so they can build. But I think it's going to maybe be Jason Kidd. I wouldn't be surprised Ty Lue get the job, and I think Ty Lue was a hell of a coach. I like him. Yeah, I mean, as a player, he got crossed up by Iverson. That's all I remember him as a player. But as a coach, man,
he got stepped over.
Yeah,
but you know who else might be a good coach for them?
Who?
Mark Jackson.
Yeah, but you see, everybody's scared of Mark Jackson, man.
Nah, he's not getting that job.
Mike Jackson, I think he's blackballed by the league. I really do think that because
I think Mark, his only preference would have been the Knicks.
I think Mark will coach any team, but I
think Brooklyn is a good choice for him.
I think so too, but we get Pop. You know what I'm saying? It's Pop.
You're not getting Pop.
Because even with the Ty Lue thing, and no disrespect to Ty Lue, I think he's a great coach, and I'm not trying to say he didn't have an institutional, a big part to play in that 2016 championship run with the Cavs, but. A lot of people, it's just like the Brady Belichick thing. A lot of people felt, LeBron carried the Cavs to win that championship, and Ty Lue was just riding along on the sidelines. Well, I actually feel there's a little bit of both. I think they had like a kind of player coach relationship with like LeBron got some insight. He'll listen to LeBron, but he also have his insight to coach the team. So I think Ty Lue lose credit with his coaching acumen because of having like a player like a LeBron James on his team, right? So. I think he not that he won't get the job. I just feel that it's not the same to me. And I feel if he goes there just to have like that name, Ty Lue is here, that's it. Whereas I feel like somebody like a Mark Jackson or somebody like that, they kind of like a little bit different. I can't really explain what I'm trying to say, but I don't know. I don't even think Mark Jackson's going to get another coaching job for a minute, to be honest with you. And I don't think Brooklyn is even considering him. I think Brooklyn is really looking at the possibility to see if they can swing Pop. If they can't, maybe like a Ty Lue or somebody along them lines. They're not going to go after Mark Jackson, unfortunately. That's my personal opinion. Anyone, you guys can jump in.
No, that I kind of agree with that too. I think it is going to be. Kidd is a good option. Jason Kidd. I think that's.
For who?
I think that is for the Pelicans. I think that's a good. I think that's a good choice. Him and Lonzo Ball. That's a good combination. Yeah. I kind of agree with that one there. Yeah. But Mark Jackson, I'm not too sure he's going to get anything.
Yeah, especially with a young team. I think Mark Jackson will be good for like the Nets because of the fact the Nets already got that kind of culture that he likes to play with, and also they got mature guys. Whereas I think older coaches now, that's where the age gap sometimes happens. Like the old school coaches like Mark Jackson who grew up in the NBA, they're accustomed to being coached in the old school manner. And some of them, like some people it don't work for. Like some of the things that got him in trouble with Golden State was not only the prayer stuff, but the fact that, they felt he was putting other teammates against each other by saying this person wants your minutes. You got to play like pretty much like almost like one of them NBA 2K joints. Like, you're going to earn your minutes from the guy, whatever. And they didn't like that kind of old school way of coaching. It got the job done. You know what I'm saying? They got Draymond to play better. And I mean, they hated on the fact that he didn't play Draymond over David Lee and all that other crap like that. But at the same time, his old school way of thinking, I feel is more suited for like a more mature, contending type of atmosphere where I think Jason Kidd or Ty Lue will fit better with the Pelicans because they're younger coaches. They're like a couple of, couple of seasons removed from playing in the league. You know what I'm saying? Where they could be like the guys like uncle's age as opposed to being like their grandfather or dad's age. So I kind of get it. But we'll see. If y'all have anything else to say about that, we'll continue. But I just wanted to get because like in the next 5 minutes,
5 minutes. Oh, and another thing, they just announced Damian Lillard is the bubble MVP.
I figured
That
he
was
was
obvious.
I mean, come on, son. Like, there's no other. Who else? Like, TJ Warren got the clamp.
No, TJ Warren had about a good 1 or 2 games. I thought it was between Lillard and Devin Booker.
Yeah, Devin Booker should have got it, but because Devin Booker's team got eliminated, and that's the thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way is like you went 8-0 and you can't even have an opportunity. I felt that if they went 8-0, that should have trumped, especially if they got the same record as the Portland Trailblazers. That should have put them over the Portland Trailblazers.
Well, they did get the opportunity.
Yeah,
they got in. They were in the bubble.
No, but I talk about as far as like, look, when it came down to like making the 9th seed, if they had the same record as the Portland Trailblazers, they went 8-0, right?
I think what you're forgetting is, remember, it's still part of the regular season, and the Blazers held the tiebreaker against everybody.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
That's why
I didn't know about that part.
It was the tiebreaker for the whole season.
But real quick before we get into that prediction, I don't know who has the outside noise.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Yeah. But real quick before that.
Me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
we can work with it, man.
Yeah, we can work with it a little bit. If you got to mute for a second, you can mute it. But if you want to say something real quick, go ahead and say it. Yeah. So real quick before, because I want Malik to get on this too.
Yeah, let's get this.
Yeah, I get the prediction on that thing. I want to say this real quick about the game. A lot of people are hating on that 8-0. 8-0 is big. I know like not all teams are playing at full capacity. Like people consider it like a glorified or Super Saiyan summer league. I get it, but at the end of the day, going 8-0 is still something, regardless of what it is. And a lot of the games that they beat those teams, they had their starters playing. So to say that they didn't have their starters playing or full this and full that.
Well, not the last game.
Well, the last game, obviously, but I'm just trying to say like both of the games in the bubble was like that. But anyway, my prediction, and I thought that if the 8th seed wins tonight, they don't have to play them twice and beat them twice. I thought the team that is 9th has to play them twice. No, but everybody keeps saying that if the Blazers
only got to win once.
The 8th seed only has to win once. No, the 9th seed has to win twice. No. I'm telling you.
I know, but I'm telling you, Portland, that's what I thought too. But they're saying that Portland, because Portland's the 9th seed, Portland has to just win once. And
Portland is the 8th seed.
Portland is 8th seed.
Yeah, they took over.
Memphis got to win twice.
Okay. That's why I was confused because I thought Memphis was still the 8th seed. And I'm like, you saying
Memphis went down.
Got it. That's why I should have looked at the standings. I was like, why do you keep saying that? Like, yo, if Memphis 8th, Memphis got to win once, but Memphis 9th. So I get it. All right, cool. So that's fine. I think Damian Lillard and them going to pull this off. The NBA is going to pray that they do this because to have Damian Lillard and them in the playoffs, to play against the Lakers, everybody want that. Don't get me wrong. If the Memphis Grizzlies get in it, it's going to be like a foregone conclusion that they're going to get swept. So nobody want to see that, especially now at full strength. Jaren Jackson is hurt. They definitely want the Portland Trailblazers to win. And I kind of want the Portland Trailblazers to win because seeing Dame do what he was doing and getting pissed off after they was making fun of that Dame Town joint. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would rather the Nets win, even though the Nets are already in the playoffs, and I want that victory. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff. But at the end of the day, Kakash LeVert is that man. But at the end of the day, I'm happy that Portland's in it. I do hope that Portland wins today so that we can get to this playoffs and see the Portland Trailblazers versus I would like to see Melo versus LeBron and them cats and see who can really like shake things up. And Portland has a legitimate chance to beat the Lakers. The Memphis Grizzlies has no chance.
I think
chance in hell. You know, the Vince McMahon theme song.
I think
yeah.
I think that the Blazers are going to win.
Mm-hmm.
The league wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
I don't think the Lakers are too happy that Portland may be the opponent.
Yeah.
Because Memphis would be an easier choice.
Yeah.
I think Portland should win. They should win this game. They're the more experienced team. They've been to the Western Conference Finals last year. I also think that Memphis is not ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be upset because before the bubble they was 8th seed and it was like a 3-game lead. So the bubble kind of ruined them.
Yeah.
But everybody else had the same situation. So I'm picking Portland and I'm picking them to win pretty convincingly today.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going with.
Okay. Malik?
Yeah, so I'm definitely going with Portland as well. I mean, I don't see Memphis, even if they got the win today, I don't see them beating Portland twice. Not
Exactly.
with Dame
Yeah.
Time, not with Dame playing possessed. Like, not, this guy pulling up from the logo, hitting all types of fadeaway
That's
threes,
right.
diving on the floor. Like, he wants it.
Yeah.
McCullum playing with a fractured back.
That I
Like,
don't understand. How your back broke and you
yeah,
still
like, so the Portland wants it. It is a shame in a sense that it couldn't be the Suns in Portland.
yeah.
I mean, the way the Suns played
I think
in
that's
the
what everybody
bubble,
wanted.
Yeah.
that would have just been
So
that would have
Devin
been
Booker,
crazy.
Damian
Not
Lillard,
to take
it's
nothing
crazy.
away from Memphis, they did their thing throughout the year,
Yeah.
and they put themselves in a position to get into that spot.
Yeah.
But with the loss of Jaren Jackson and then the resurgence of Portland and what the Suns were able to do, it would have been really like just a great story, or just to see those two teams battle it out for the spot. Um, but yeah, I don't see Memphis beating Portland twice.
Yeah.
Not with Dame playing the way he is.
Absolutely.
And as far as the Lakers part, yeah, I definitely think the Lakers would rather the Grizzlies as opposed to the Blazers. I mean, the Blazers do pose a legitimate risk to the Lakers. The Lakers haven't been great offensively in the bubble. They have had little chemistry issues, and LeBron had a little injury issues. And Portland, they're not the best defensively, but they can score. They have Melo, they have um, Lillard and McCullum.
Yeah.
I do feel like, as far as with the Lakers, how hurt McCullum is
Mhm.
will definitely have an impact on how competitive that series is.
Mhm.
Because the Lakers don't really got nobody to guard Lillard, and you can't really guard Lillard anyway. But the Lakers don't really got nobody to really guard him.
Mhm.
But he ain't gonna be able to pull up from the logo every possession. So with Anthony Davis inside, and with
Better start Whiteside, I'll tell you that right now.
with right.
Nurkic
But
got
with
the
like
offensive,
LeBron
but
and
no
AD, I
defense.
don't see Lillard being able to single-handedly take
That's
out
okay.
LeBron and AD for 4 games. So, but
Mhm.
if McCullum, because he's still been having a legit impact. He hasn't been as efficient, but he still has
Yeah.
had a legit impact. So,
Yeah.
Portland, they out there, they there to play. They've been
Mhm.
showing that, and I mean, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I don't see Memphis beating them twice. So if
Yeah.
Memphis, let's say, gets this win today, I don't see them, beating the Blazers twice. And both of them have been, battling for that spot. So they both kind of will be somewhat fatigued. So I don't even think that'll be too much of a factor, even though, the Blazers really have been,
Yeah.
pushing themselves. So, but yeah, that's my take. I feel like the Blazers are going to get that spot. And then as far as the Lakers, it's definitely going to be something they have to really think about.
Yeah. Hollister?
Yep, I think the Blazers don't definitely win tonight. I see Dame dropping about like 40 something points today.
He has to.
Exactly. Wait, no disrespect to the Grizzlies. You gotta give them some respect. They did their thing all year. They
Yeah.
competed and stuff like that, but they have no chance against the Blazers right now. Dame is on fire. Everybody's criticizing him, and he's just showing out
Yeah.
that he's about that. He's really about that.
Yeah, I agree.
The Lakers should definitely be very worried. Even though the Blazers don't have Trevor Ariza, we understand his situation.
Mhm.
That might be a little impact for the Lakers. They might get a little edge.
Lakers don't have Avery Bradley.
True.
How you feel about Tom Brady?
Nothing. Who
That's
cares
true.
about Tom
Yeah,
Brady?
nobody cares.
We don't care. We don't care about Tom Brady.
But I do see the Blazers giving the Lakers a lot of trouble, especially with the bigs they have: Whiteside, Zach Collins, and Youssef. Like, there's a lot. The Lakers got a lot to worry about. It's gonna be trouble for them, but the Blazers will definitely win. Long CJ and Dame stay healthy, and everybody else, there's gonna be some problems in the playoffs.
I agree. I think that
What
with
about
that,
Kim?
don't listen to Charlie. Thank you. Anyway, I think what's going on with that whole play, the Trailblazer joint, is like this, right? I agree with you 100%. I think that when it comes to defensively and the schemes that they need to run, there's a lot of liabilities on that. The Blazers ain't really playing the most significant defense, and also they were the ones who were like playing the same way that they needed to be played. As far as like they needed that game against the Nets. The Nets didn't technically need it, and
Yeah.
they let the Nets score that many baskets. And Nurkic was like liability on certain parts of defense. And like I said, the Lakers, they have LeBron and they have AD. But with AD is a great player. I'm not taking nothing away from AD. AD,
Fragile at
as
times.
far as like the physicality, when you play physical with him, he has difficulty. He'll still get his buckets, but it's not going to be as easy. I think he was kind of coasting against some of these other matchups that he was getting, but when he plays the guys his side who can kind of defend, who can move, it makes it difficult for him. And I feel that when it in regards to that, Whiteside will be a better option to have on AD, as opposed to having, especially because Whiteside like to wake up when he want to play against other cats who people feel are way better than him. And a lot of times when he plays against like Embiid or he'll play against somebody like a AD, he'll show up. You know what I'm saying? And I think what's that coach name? Kenny some Scotts, whatever.
Terry Stotts.
Hey, Terry Stotts. He got to work on the thing with what you gonna call it with them the lineup. He got to let Melo get some run. Melo, yeah, defensive liability at times, but that offense you need it. Because McCollum is hurt. Damian Lillard can drop you 50-something points, but he shouldn't have to do that every night. And they have to spread the load and spread the wealth.
Got to remember, Melo is up there in age, so you got to bring his minutes down.
Yeah, that's fine, but I'm talking about there's times when like the rhythm. Remember how we talked about playing in rhythm with the like the stuff like that. Like I didn't watch the net game because I was away, but I heard. They was even saying that Melo was, he can even get a rhythm. Like he just pulled them real quick, and like the matchups, like even people said that they feel like White should start. I understand that you need Nurkic's offense as far as the passing. He can move without the ball. He can score, make his own score.
They're better with Nurkic in the lineup.
No, I get that,
but I understand what you're saying. Defensively, I think Whiteside will play more in the Lakers series.
Yeah,
but probably. It's more of a matchup thing right now.
Yeah, that's how I feel. But I feel that even with the match with the Nets, he was getting cooked. I
think you'll see both of them play at the same time when the Lakers decide to go with JaVale McGee and Anthony Davis or Dwight Howard.
It should be interesting. I mean,
we'll see. But let's not go way ahead. We're talking about Lakers. We're talking about Lakers Portland matchups. Defensive matchups, and the Memphis Grizzlies are still in it. So
that's what I was just about to say.
Because we might be talking about Valanciunas. We might be talking about Valanciunas and Brandon Clark against the Lakers big men.
Yeah, I mean, like you're right, and like I was saying, we can't count out the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant hasn't been playing well in the bubble, but he has been playing at least decent enough. I mean, he's still young, so that's why I'm not really hating on him for that. But at the end of the day, most people are leaning towards Portland, and it's easier for Portland. Portland just got to win tonight, and like Malik said earlier, I don't see them losing twice, especially to the Grizzlies, unless like God forbid somebody get hurt or Ja Morant play like Michael Jordan Morant. So, other than that, I don't see that happening. And
one other thing before we get up out of here, they announced the All NBA bubble team.
Yeah,
I think it was Damian Lillard, Doncic, T.J. Warren,
Harden and Devin Booker.
Harden and Devin Booker. Yeah.
Okay. I think that sounds right to me.
Yep.
I'm glad they put Zion on that because I'd have been pissed because Zion deserve nothing right now. No disrespect.
Who?
Zion. He's gonna be great.
No, he's not gonna be on nothing.
Zion, I just pray and I hope, and I'm gonna wrap this up, and I got one more thing to say after that. I just hope that he really, because he said I'm gonna take my time, work on my body, and people say, "Oh, you have 4 months to do that." I get it. Now you know that you're not nothing really to play for is next season. You come in there strong, you come in there healthy, you come in there ready. All right. And also, I wanted to say this because I watched this other documentary when it was talking about like how Greg Oden said he thinks that the Portland Trailblazers doctors messed him up because he also suffered from something similar that Zion has, which is like one of his limbs a little bit longer than the other, and they try to fix it by removing that bone to make them even, and that's when you start having the knee injuries. Because you got to understand, our bodies are certain things. Like if your body's accustomed to walking like how Zion be walking, your body's accustomed to compensating for those things. When you make any alteration in that kind of like schematic, you're liable to make a weak plan. That's what happened with Greg Oden. So I hope they don't do nothing like that with Zion. They decided just to like be on precaution and just get the weight off, have him stretch, and like do other things to work other muscles around the ligaments. But as long as they don't try to do nothing like that, he can have a nice long career. But I want to give a shout out to Sanaya, Tyrone's daughter. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
13 years old, man.
You got a teenager.
Happy birthday.
Oh boy.
So
Happy birthday, niece.
Don't remind me.
I wanted to give a shout out to her.
Trouble headed my way now. Teenage daughter.
Get that shot. Anyway,
I am.
I want to thank you guys for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. We're going to try to get another one out. We had some more stuff to talk about, but it was supposed to be a quick one, but this one over an hour, I think. But anyway, thank you guys for listening and enjoy the day. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sanaya. I love you.
Yep. Love you too, guys. And God bless.
All right.
Yeah.